Officer, we have a 187 on Main Street. We have a 211. Over. Have you ever heard police saying these codes into their walkie-talkies and thought, what do they mean? I know I have, and today I'm going to tell you what police codes really mean. Some of these codes you can actually use yourself. Imagine if you got pulled over and you heard the guy say we have a 502. Learn these codes and you can know what police are saying about you. And also learn about some of the most crazy codes police hope they never have to use. I'm Charlie and today we're going to be looking at what do police codes mean. But before we get arrested for a 480, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming up first we have 213. If you ever hear on a police scanner or on a police walkie-talkie 213, then run. That's because a 213 refers to an explosion. But if you hear this code, it doesn't necessarily mean that a nuke has gone off. An explosion can be anything from a car blowing up to a terror incident. Either way, it's very scary and you should know what it means. Usually when a 213 code is put out, all police go to that one area as it's the most pressing issue at the time. Next up, we have 502. Let's say you get pulled over by the police and they come over to your vehicle. They check your license, speak to you for a moment, and then say 502 into their walkie-talkie. You may think they're just saying some police jargon, but don't be fooled. 502 is the code for a drunk driver. So if a cop pulls you over and says 502 into their walkie-talkie, this means they think you're drunk. If you hear this, you should try and act less drunk. Also get ready to do a few tests. For example, seeing if you can touch your nose with your finger. You may also be asked to try and walk in a straight line or do a breathalyzer test. And if you fail any of these tests, then you'll be arrested for DUI. But that is what 502 means, drunk driver. Next up is 1011. You may love dogs, and police do too, but sometimes police encounter very dangerous dogs that criminals use to ward off police. If a policeman encounters a scary dog, then he'll say 1011 into his walkie-talkie. This will signal to any other officers that a dangerous dog's in the area. But be warned, police are allowed to shoot at dogs if they think the dog is a danger to their life. So if you're encountering the police and you hear them say 1011, then make sure to tell them that your dog is safe if it is. Next up is 187. 187 is a very common police code, but it's a code no cops like to hear. A 187 is code for a murder. This means a cop has found a body somewhere and doesn't know what to do next. All this means is that backup should come to the scene as someone is no longer alive. Sadly, this is a very common police code which is said dozens of times every day. Next up is 417. This code is essential and it's important that you know it. If you're dealing with a cop and you hear him say 417 into a radio, this means he thinks you have a gun. 417 is code for firearm. This will heighten the cop's awareness for the situation and the awareness of any backup officers who come to the scene. Also, if you're using a police scanner and hear 417, then stay away from the area as it may be dangerous. Next up is 480. Let's say someone's carelessly driving and then hits someone. What they should do in this situation is call an ambulance and the police. But did you know that most of the time people simply drive off? This is known to cops as a 480 or to you and I, a hit and run. If cops hear 480 on their radio, they have to rush to the scene. Someone could be severely hurt and the person is getting away in a vehicle. This means they not only have to make sure the person who was hit is okay, but also apprehend the guy who's driving away. Next up is 604. If you hear the code 604 on a police scanner, then stay away from the area. That's because 604 means throwing missiles. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean Kim Jong-un is out there throwing nuclear bombs around. More likely, it's people throwing fireworks and firecrackers at each other. But in a terror incident, it could also mean a bazooka or a missile launcher going off. Either way, if you hear that on a police scanner or police radio, then stay well away from the area. If cops hear this, they will be very frightened, but all will have to go to the area as it's the most pressing issue at the time. Next up is 211. A 211 is another very common police code. It simply means that a robbery is taking place. This could be at a business, like a bank or a convenience store, or at a person's home. If police are available, they will go to this scene. But if something more pressing, like a 213 or a 187 is going on, then police will leave this for later. After all, when a robbery is taking place, it doesn't necessarily mean that anyone is in physical danger. Next up, we have 390. In many countries, being drunk in public may be annoying for people, but it is not illegal. But in most parts of the United States, being drunk in public is actually a crime. It's called public intoxication and can actually get you put in what's known as the drunk tank. This is a holding cell where inmates will be kept while they sober up. But how do you know if police think you're drunk or not? Well, if you're talking to a cop and they say 390, this means that they think you're drunk. That should be pretty sobering alone, as you don't want to go to jail for the night. So it's probably best to calm down and walk away from the situation if possible when you hear this code. Next up is 417L. So we know that 417 is code for a firearm, but the one weapon one rung below a firearm is a knife. That's exactly what code 417L means. If there's an incident involving a knife, then this code will be put out on police scanners. If you hear this in your area, then you should stay inside for the meantime and not go anywhere outside in case the person with a knife is outside. If cops hear this, they will be scrambled to the situation as they don't want anyone's life to be in danger. Most of the time, 417 codes relate to gang activity in areas, and police will take extreme precautions using things like vests and also tasers. And finally on the list, we have 417B. So we've already gone over 417 and 417L. Well, the meaning behind 417B is in the code. B means bomb. 417B is a very scary code as it means someone has an explosive somewhere in the area. If you're eavesdropping on a police scanner and hear this, then stay in a safe place. It means there's an active situation and all police will be scrambled to that area if this code is read out. Also, if you're in a public place and you hear this code on a police radio, then run. But make sure you don't run into danger and take the advice of law enforcement. So now you know exactly what police codes mean. But now it's time to make your opinion heard. Vote in the poll in the top right corner. Have you ever been arrested? If you want some more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.